All right, so now we're doing 7Q Alphabet War. This is by D. Cieslak, and 93% of the people like it. So there's a war that nobody knows about, and it's called the Alphabet War. There are two groups of hostile letters. The tension between left side letters and right side letters was too high, and the war began. We're going to write a function that accepts fight, and it's going to be a string that consists of only small letters and returns who wins the fight. When the left side wins, we're going to return left side wins. And when the right side wins, we'll say right side wins, and in any other case, we'll put let's fight again. So the left side letters are like this, W, P, B, S, and they're going to be 4, 3, 2, 1, just like that. And then M, Q, D, Z, 4, 3, 2, 1, just like that. And all the other letters don't have any power and are only victims. So for the example, we've got Z, and that's right side wins. We've got all this, which must be like let's fight again. It must not have any winner. This one's got right side wins because of all the Z's, and this one's got left side wins because of all the W's, right? So for this one, we got to think about it just for a second, all right? We got to think, what are we going to do here, okay? Definitely we have to iterate through this string to see it, and we have to somehow check each one of these. So probably a double for loop, you know. So let's start there. Let's do a for loop going through fight, and then we'll make some kind of list for these, all right? So let's say for let I equals 0 while I is less than fight dot length, we'll say I plus plus, all right? And then over here we'll have another one, and we got to go through this list, but first we got to make the list. So let's come over here and let's say let string, because we're going to make this list into a string, and we'll make it equal something in there. So I'm thinking, because this is 4, 3, 2, 1, and then this is 4, 3, 2, 1, we can just add them together. We could say this is -1, -4, -3, -2, -1, and if any of these show up, we'll say negatives, and then left side wins if the thing is negative at the end, and then we'll say these are positives, and it'll be right side win if everything added together is positive, okay? Hopefully that makes sense to you. So to do that, let's say WPBS as the first part of the string, WPBS, all right? But as we see, it's 4, 3, 2, 1, -4, -3, -2, -1. So in the middle, we need a 0. So we're not going to put any of these there. We'll just put a space, right? And then we'll have the 1, 2, 3, 4 going this way. So Z, D, Q, M. So Z, D, Q, M, like that. Now, you might be saying, what is this? What are you doing, buddy? All right, look at this. This is 4, but that would be 0, right, if it was -4. So if we're going to access this with an accessor, this would be 0, right? So, but we need this to be 0. So let's just let's just subtract 4 from every one of these once we get the index that they're at. Do you get what I'm saying? Hopefully you do. If not, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's say for let j equal 0 while j is less than string dot length, we'll say j plus plus, okay? And then right here we're going to say if string at I equals, not string at I, if fight at I, so if this thing at I equals string at j, we'll add it to a count. Let's make a count real quick. Count equals 0, all right? So if it's negative, if it's one of these, it'll go down. But we haven't done that yet. Let me show you. We'll say count plus equals j, because it's going to be whatever index this is. Now, because this is 0, and because we need all these to be 4, 3, 2, 1, we're just going to subtract 4 from j and then put it in the count, -4, like that. And so that'll take care of business. So let's come down here and let's say console.log counts. Test it out. And you see we got 1. Let's do console.log count in here then, so we can test it out and see what it looks like while it's happening. All right, test this out. All right, that didn't work. Oh, because it's just Z. Let's get rid of this, test it again. See, so it says 1, 3, 6, 10, 6, 3, 1 because they're subtracting 4, 3, 2, 1 because it's this one right here, okay? So basically it ends up 0, which is let's fight again, right? Okay, so you see what's going on? Now we got to have the thing that says if it's positive, do this, if it's negative, do that, and if it's neither of those, just do the other thing. So we'll come down here and say if count greater than 0. So if it's positive, we're going to say return right side wins. Right side wins. Exclamation point. We'll take this from here up to the if, copy it. We'll say after this, we'll say else, and then paste it. And then we'll flip-flop this sign right, pardon me, just like that. We'll say left. And now we've got that taken care of. And then we'll come down here and say, if neither of those work, we'll say return. And then we'll have to do double quotes because there's a, what is it? Because there's an apostrophe, or we could do it this way, but we're not doing it that way. We'll do double quotes and say, let's fight again. All right? Exclamation point. Let's see if this works. And there we go, just like that. Let's make sure it really works. Attempt it. And there we go, just like that. Hopefully that makes sense to you. But the thing about it is, even if it doesn't make sense, there's a more concise way to do this. So you can see the even more difficult way, and maybe you'll get it then. Or you can just go and watch the thing again. We'll see. All right, so let's do this. Come back here. We're gonna comment this thing out. We're gonna come up here and say const alphabet war equals, instead of fight, we'll just say F, and we'll have an arrow right there for arrow syntax. We'll say console.log to test as we go, and we'll do this. We'll just say F right here. Test it out. All right, and we've got something like this. I don't like that. I want something that's going to give us either left or right side. So let's see it over here. Well, we've got this, and it's got H, it's got F, it's got I, and it's got J. It's only got Q is the only one that is in the power thing. So we're going to put this right side wins. We'll put this right here. Get rid of this whole thing. My bad. Test it out one more time. All right. So now we've got this in there instead. So to use a method on this, so we can use this, so we can make this the most effective use of this, we're going to need to, let's check out the map method first, all right? So the map method creates a new array populated with the result of calling a provided function on every element in a calling array. Well, see right here, this is not an element this is not an array by any stretch. Let's see what we could do if we did this, all right? Put it in brackets. Well, we got an array now, but we need every single one of these characters in its own element instead of the whole string in its own element. So for this, we can make an array literal by using a spread syntax, which allows an iterable such as an array or string to be expanded in places where 0 more arguments or elements for array literals are expected, all right? So we'll come over here to the F and say ... in front of it, test it out. And look at that, now we've got this right here. Now we can check each one of these kind of like we did down here. So let's use the map method, .map. And if you don't know about the map method, let's come back over here again. It just, like I said before, it creates a new array populated with the results of calling a provided function on every element in the calling array. So with this one, it's calling, it's doing times 2 on every element, and the X represents the element. So 1, 4, 9, and 16 is going to turn into 2, 8, 18, and 32 when we run it just like that, all right? So we'll say in here, instead of X, we'll use elements, so it's a little bit easier to understand. We're going to have, on this element right here, in order, we're going to say something like this. We're going to say, first, let's get this string and pull it up there. Copy it, because we got to check against this thing. And what we're going to do here is we're going to use the index of method. And this index of method returns the first index at which a given element can be found in the array, or -1 if it's not present. So basically we just say that array we have .index of search element right here. Oh, excuse me, not the array, but the string we have .search element, all right? So we've got this string dot index of, and for the search element, we'll have element, all right? We'll have this element in there. And now let's test it out, see what it looks like. All right, so we've got -1, -1, -1, 7, and -1. So all these are the victims, and then we've got 1, 7 right here. So that looks pretty good so far. Let's see, let's bring this down because we're already running out of room. Let's bring this stuff down like this. So what we need to do here is we're going to have to do the subtract by 4 thing on it to make this into 3 instead of 7. So we'll say -4 to every one of these. All right, let's test that out. And you see now we've got -5, -5, -5, 3, and -5. Well, how do we get rid of these -5s though? What's -5 divided by 5? That'd be -1, right? It'd be 1 remainder operator 0, right? Remainder 0, right? But if you get 3 divided by 3 divided by 5, it would be 0 remainder 3, correct? Okay, so let's do that. Let's wrap this whole thing from the first single quote down to after the 4 in another set of parentheses, and let's say here remainder operator 5. All right, and let's see what happens. We still got the 3 there, and now all those 5s are 0s, right? And it'll happen for each one of those because it goes to a max of 4. If it went to a max of 5, we would just say 6. And it would, no matter what, it would do the same thing we needed to do. So this is a pretty useful technique, in my opinion. All right, so now we've got this. So now we got to add all these together. And we'll just get, when we add them all together, it'll be 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 3 plus 0. All right? But how do we add them together? Well, this map function was just for show. This was just to show us what this thing looks like. What we're actually going to use is this reduce method, which executes a user supply reducer callback function on each element of the array in order, passing in the return value from the calculation on the preceding element. Perhaps the easiest to understand case for reduce is to return the sum of all elements in an array. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, is the sum of all elements in this array. Okay, let me show you the syntax we're going to use. So we're going to use this accumulator, current value, and maybe initial value syntax. We'll see in just a second. But first we're going to use this. But that looks ridiculous, honestly, if you're a noob coder, or if you just don't want to think kind of like me. So we'll come over here. We're going to turn this map into reduce, all right? And we're going to wrap this element up like this. And we're going to keep element, but we're going to say right here, count. So instead of the accumulator acts exactly like this count. So we're just going to use count instead, because we're going to add every one of these to the count. So we're going to say in front of this thing, count plus this. Now let's see what it looks like. Test it out. Now we got something ridiculous looking again, okay? But it's getting there. It's getting there. All right, so let's say something like this. Like it said here in the reduce method, right here, the first time the callback is run, there is no return value of the previous calculation, but if supplied, an initial value may be used in its place. So let's come over here. This to here is the reduce. We'll say after this 5, comma, initial value of 0. Now let's test it out. 3. Right side wins. That's kind of almost what we're looking for, right? Now we just have to get it to a place to where it says right side wins. Well, we know this is positive. We're looking just for positive, negative, not the actual numbers themselves. There's this thing we've got over here called math.sign. And math.sign static method returns a 1 or a -1, indicating the sign of the number passed as an argument. If the input is 0 or -0, it's going to be returned as is, okay? So let's wrap this thing up one more time from this bracket all the way to this second parenthesis. Wrap it up like this and say in front of this, math.sign. All right, let's test that out, see what it looks like. Now we got a 1 because it was positive. It was 3, and now it's a 1 because, like I said, it's positive. So I'm going to bring these down real quick, or bring these over, I should say. And now that we've got it looking like this, what does 1, 0, and -1 look like if we add 1 to it? Okay, like if we did this to it, let's say plus 1, what would that look like? 1, right? Because it was 0. No. No, 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 no. Plus 1 here. Test that out. Okay, now we've got 2, okay? So what does that 2 look like? If we add it to it and it was, if we add 1 to -1, 0, or 1, it'll give us 0, 1, or 2. So what does 0, 1, and 2 look like? Well, I think every array with 3 elements will have index 1, 2, 0, 1, and 2 in them. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So let's wrap this whole thing up with the plus 1 and everything. Let's wrap this thing up in brackets. Oops. Let's try it one more time with feeling. Now let's wrap it in brackets, and now let's look what it looks like. So we've got a 2 right here. What is it? That looks like an array accessor to me. I'm sure. Well, let's make an array and see what it. Let's try something out. Let's do comma comma like this, and let's come down here and let's say, well, left side is the negatives, so let's take left side wins. Let's put left side right here. If it's a 0, let's put let's fight again. Let's take this, copy this, put this right here, and then let's get right side wins because it would be 2. Excuse me. It would be 0. Okay, this would be 0. This would be 1. And now this is 2. There we go, yeah. And we'll put this here. Test it out. Right side wins, right side. But that looks good. Let's see if that works, though. Take that out, test it out. And there we go. And attempt it. Wouldn't you know it? And so that's how it works. That's how it works. Moment of silence for all the casualties of war. Remember, folks, war is no laughing matter. Definitely not. All right? And so let's look at this right here. They're making this map thing, and it's -1, -2. Basically what we did, except for it's different. They're using this object instead of an array, and they're doing split and reduce on it, and then they're doing a ternary operator, and that's cool. You know, that's clever, I guess. Here they're doing a whole lot more than we did. These guys are doing even more than we did, and these guys. And you can just check out all the rest of them if you feel like it. Let's go over to mine. Just me on this one. This is 2 ways, so trust me. This is 1 way, and this is 2. Anyway, so whatever. Best practice in my opinion. Very much like it, and we'll see you next time.